Generation 1 and Generation 2 Snake Eyes figure. So when this figure came out, when Hasbro released the classified series in 6-inch scale, I was so ecstatic that I scoured the internet immediately to find whoever was selling it, or if somebody had it, even if at the price I was willing to pay for it. But luckily again, I would not find one within my budget, so I had to wait for the store release at GameStop, Target, or at Walmart. So patience works, and I was able to snag 2 figures. Why 2? Of course, the nostalgia factor. I just had to have one in box for display and the other to play with. And if you get really one of these figures box, it's really the box is really nicely designed. So a lot of figure art, especially this side and the back, amazing. So worth keeping in box. So putting that figure aside, so the tactical side in me, knowing that just looking at the box art and realizing some of those parts may not suit well with the figure. Once I opened it, lo and behold, yes, and yes. Just imagine having these 2 things. Now this is an assault pack, a 3-day pack. Now this would weigh about 10 pounds, depends on, of course, on the content. That's real life talk. So just imagine the size of this Mama Jama, this sword that's really long. Look at that, in scale wise. And if you put it on the pack, there's an option to put it this way. The orientation of the sword with the cutting edge of the blade on the back side of the figure this way. If you draw it out, that's just kind of wrong. Now if this sword, it also has the capacity of slinging the sword on the back of the figure, but also the orientation is quite funny, considering that when he draws it, it's still not the right orientation, I believe, for a sword. So, and considering the length of this thing, it's just way too long. Not realistic. But accurate for a Snake Eyes figure. The accessories. Now the weapons that it came with. I don't understand why Hasbro would put holes on the guns. That's weird. Another gun with a hole in it. But I'm glad that it came with the sound suppressor. Yep. So out of the box, I decided to customize one of the figures that I had. And once bagging all of these things that just didn't matter practically, although they're good for the original design way back in the 80s, but practically speaking, just doesn't work in real life. So customizing the figure, moving on, I decided to take out the drop leg holster and the drop leg knife sheath. This is evident in the original piece over here. Yep. The original piece has a drop leg holster and a drop leg knife sheath. So instead, this is a two belt system. That's the the one with the belt with the Arashikage symbol, and the conventional pistol belt. So that's two belts. So I decided to attach the accessories that's over here to the belts, because the belts are just floating, they look ridiculous when you move the figure. So realistically speaking, it's better to put the weapons up here, because if you're going to move around, jump around, climb over trees, fences, etc., having your pistol over here or your knife over there, that's just way too heavy to have on your thighs. And also it would quite snag on things, especially the pistol, the handle of the pistol. So in the process, if you're a ninja and you like to do a lot of kicks and movement, and of course the thing that I mentioned, climbing around, you might lose your pistol. So I decided to move the pistol up here, conventionally speaking. So I did not use this pistol because it's really funky looking, especially with the hole in it, and replaced it with one of the more realistically designed pistols out there. That's good for the figure, considering that he's a ninja and he likes to keep the weight down, and a small pistol like this does not weigh a thing almost if it's on your belt. Now the knife over here, I changed the orientation of the of how he carries it. So this is the blade, I believe, is a kukri. So knife nuts out there, you know what I'm saying. So it's better to be carried this way. So if you're going to fight with it, you take it out of the knife sheath. The cutting edge of the knife is immediately available for slashing. And this had this knife sheath had a problem, so I had to use my drill and get rid of some of the materials inside the holster, inside the knife sheath, because this thing just wouldn't go in. So I had to take out some material, and right now it would sheath well. Look at that. Looks more realistic, right? And as for the huge sword, instead of this one, I just opted for that. Realistically speaking, a shorter sword is easier to sheath on your back or draw from your back if you need it. Plus, it would not snag on things. So this came from a 3.75 inch ninja from the G.I. Joe Retaliation movie. So one of the figures that I bought back when the G.I. Joe Retaliation movie was out and the toys were out, and I had one of those ninjas. And so yeah, That's it. And it looks way better on Snake Eyes, especially the orientation of the blades, and it's quite slanted to the side of his back, which makes drawing and sheathing the blades easier. Plus they're short. So that's it. Hope you like this custom figure that I made of my Snake Eyes. Simple, I did not paint anything anymore, like what I did with my original Snake Eyes figure. This one looks nice this way, just with the silver pieces on the belt, and on the knife, on the swords, but tactical black. That's the way to go with Snake Eyes.